Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnana-Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Rupakadamaiham Bhunati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapadakammalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagar Lalita Sri Vishakha Tamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Namaste Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuve Vatsapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Namo Namah.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you so much for joining this Sangha. It's such a wonderful topic to discuss. And this chapter, the beginning, is titled Devotional Service. If you look at Bhagavad Gita, it is comprising of 18 chapters. You have the first 6 chapters and the next 6 chapters, which is 7 to 12. So as you can see, this is right in the middle of Bhagavad Gita. And this is immediately after the universal form, which is the 12th, which is the chapter. It stands for the universal form. And the 12th chapter is right in the middle of Bhagavad Gita. So most confidential knowledge, whenever you have something very precious, you keep it inside your house in a very secluded, very hidden place, which is so precious that not anybody and everybody can really pick on it. So this verse is the 12th chapter, and the 12th chapter is all about bhakti yoga or devotional service. So here Krishna is saying, Krishna has started speaking 2 slokas before this, and here in this verse, which is such a profound verse, Krishna is saying, Kleswadhika tarastekam abhyakta saktate chetasa abhyakta hi gatir dukkham dehabdhir abhapyate. So, as you can see, Krishna is explaining about the challenges in impersonalism. So Krishna here is saying, if you translate the verse, for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested. Unmanifested means anything which is manifested, it is actually a personal or a form. Like say, for example, you all have a form, you have a height, you have a weight, you have some attributes, you like something, you dislike something, you like to dress, you like to eat certain things. You have a personalized attribute of yourself. So you have manifested. Likewise, Krishna is saying, for those whose minds are attached to unmanifested, unmanifested are the situations where Krishna is referring to as those who are formless, who are impersonal. What we mean by formless are essentially the people. Sometimes what you might have heard, the Bhagwan is Nirakar. He doesn't have a form, he doesn't have a shape, he doesn't have a height, he is formless, he doesn't have akar, so he's Nirakar. So Nirakar is referred here as unmanifested. And what Bhakti Yoga is saying is, Lord has a form, Lord is a person, Lord has a name, Lord likes something, he likes 6 items. Lord goes out on vacation to his aunt's place when his devotees him devotion. Lord celebrates his appearance day. So there are attributes of Lord which is related to manifestation. So Lord is a person. And some people believe that Lord is not a person. Lord is unmanifested. He is impersonal. He is not a person. So here Krishna is saying, for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline, is always difficult for those who are embodied. We all are embodied. We are not bodied. We are embodied because we are not body. We are the soul. We are embodiment of our body. That means whenever we say that we are not the body, then who are we? We are essentially referred as soul, as part and parcel of the Supreme. So for embodied, for people like us, if we believe we are embodied, right? But if we believe that God doesn't have any form, God doesn't have any manifestation, God doesn't have a shape, size, then that vision is not a complete vision of the Supreme. And you beautifully read the purport where Srila Prabhupada has gone on to explain about Saguna and Nirguna. So Saguna is the personal angle of the manifestation of the Lord, and the Nirguna is essentially as if he doesn't possess any attribute in the form of a height or a weight or a person. So for us, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or Lord Jagannath, or Vishnu in this context, is a person, and he's a supreme person. That's why Srila Prabhupada said, who God is? God is a supreme person, and he is the head of all gods, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So whenever we say that, how are you? You say, I'm fine, but you know what? My knee is giving me a trouble. When you say that, when you say, I'm fine, but my knee is giving me trouble, that means you are not fine. That but in every sentence, different story. What are you doing? I'm doing great, but my cholesterol is giving me trouble. How are you? Then you may say, I'm doing great during my vacations, but I'm worried that when the job starts, I'll have challenges. So whenever there is that element of but, then there are challenges. So here, Krishna is saying, impersonalist views are not incorrect, but their advancement is troublesome. So that is something you have to understand. So Krishna is not recommending the process of Nirakarvadi. So let's talk a little bit about what is this Nirakarvadis, what are this Akar. So Krishna is saying, Klesodhika Taraste, advancement is very troublesome for those. Abhyaktas Sakta Chetasa, whose minds are attached to the unmanifested. Minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the soul. Abhyaktahi gatir dukham. That means to make progress towards unmanifest is dukham. It's very difficult. It's full of, the path is full of sadness. And they have the avapit for those who are embodied. So for people like us who are in this material world, Krishna is saying no to the impersonal method of understanding the Supreme. Because just 2 verses back, Bhagavan Uvacha, Lord Krishna is saying, the personality of Godhead says, Maya avyesha manoye nityayukta upasate sraddhaya parasyopetas yukta mata. The Supreme Personality of God is saying, those who fix their mind on my personal form, and are engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be the most perfect. So just 2 verses before, Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying, those who fix their mind. So then the question becomes, when Lord has so clearly said why people are still going after the impersonal form. This is where I have to a little bit discuss about the different yoga paths. So, so, so the first thought process of any person who is progressing in the path of Jnana Yoga, then his realization is the Brahman realization, which is the all-pervading impersonal oneness. That I have a soul, I am part and parcel of the soul. That means I am the whole. See, we are part of the whole. The part of the whole means we're qualitatively similar, but quantitatively different. So that doesn't mean the part is the whole. The part may have characteristics, it may have imperfections, but those imperfections are from the whole. But the part can never be the whole. Energy may be coming from the energetic. The energy, like say for example, we have this huge wind turbines. The wind turbines are huge. They're so huge that it kills a lot of birds, because any bird which flies around those windmills, but eventually, because that is so unthinkable, that energy which is really coming from this huge turbines, or whenever there's a huge lightning, that energy which is dissipated is unbearable. But once that energy is trapped and is separated to different people's houses as electricity at 20 volt or 110 volt, it is well acceptable. So the whole is very different from the part. But the Brahman realization thinks that we are one and the same. They consider that if the God is within us, somehow or other we are God, which is a method of understanding. And then the second level of understanding is Paramatma, or the manifestation of God within the heart of every being. So those are essentially people who do the meditation and they try to look at the God in their hearts. And then the Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the Bhakta's representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So depending on the levels of realization, the Brahman realization are the Jnana Yogis realization. The Paramatma realization, which I'm calling it slightly elevated, is the Yogis realization, people who meditate, who do meditation. And then the Bhagavan realization, which is the topmost realization, where we think that the God is a person, is actually a Bhakta's realization. So there are many paths. The yoga is essentially a path where you unite with the Supreme. You have to do some karma. It starts with the basic aspect of karma, and the karmas have actions and reactions. Karma is basically action. The Prabhupada says action in Krishna consciousness is Bhakti Yoga. So in that sense, Karma Yoga is Bhakti Yoga, because he is working to express and elucidate your love for Godhead. So the Karma Yoga in that context, which we have discussed earlier, that's the basic foundation, is you have to work, and it has karma, vikarma, and akarma. Karma means anything which has punya attached to it, vikarma, anything which has papa attached to it, and akarma has no papa or punya attached to it. So that means no reaction attached to it. So it starts with karma yoga, but then you transcend to the path of learning about scriptures, learning about the technical aspect of the jnana angle, because Krishna mentions this jnana will lighten the darkness. Like say for example, your lack of fundamental knowledge, this jnana is going to cut sword darkness of ignorance. So that is the next level. And the next level is meditate on the form of the Lord. And you can choose to go on meditation, you go into trance and samadhi. That is also a possibility. But the greatest realization is the process of serving the Lord. Because when you serve the Lord, you understand his likes or likes, and then you dwell on it, you serve. Then through the process of serving, you inculcate jnana, you do karma, and you meditate on the names of the Lord. So the bhakta's interpretation is over encompassing this karma, jnana, and yoga realizations, and that's the reason why the topmost realization. So once upon a time in Jagannath, there was a devotee whose name was Raghudas. He is a great devotee of Lord Ram. So when he came to Lord Ram, Lord Jagannath gave him the darshan as Ram and Lakshman. And seeing that, he was very happy, and he was a poor person. So once he got a garland made from the bark. From the bark, they create threads, and from the thread, you make a garland with the flowers. And when he got the garland, the Brahmanas in Jagannath Puri chastised him. Then why did you bring? Because the bark of the tree is supposed to be a waste product. Why did you make garland from a waste product? When they chastised him, the evening when they were, and they drove Raghudas with the garland made from the bark, the banana trunk. Then the night when the Pandavas were about to offer garland to the Lord, Lord was giving all kind of trouble. He was not accepting garland. And in the night, Lord came in the dream of the head Pandava and said, "You have abused my devotee. My devotee got a nice garland from me, made from the bark of the banana stem, and you drove him away." So by the time they couldn't recognize who the person is, they searched for him, and finally they got hold of him. And when they started offering the garland made by Raghudas, Lord Jagannath started accepting. And after some time, Lord Raghudas fell sick. He was bedridden, and he was seeing that a boy used to come and he used to take care of him. He used to clean him when he was bedridden. Then Raghudas realized that it is the Lord himself. And he said, "Lord, why are you doing this to me? Why are you taking care of me?" The Lord says, in the association of devotees, if I do not reciprocate, then where is fun? Like you might have seen Lord Krishna, in order to take the little rice, puffed rice, to Dhamma, he gave him everything. So this interaction of loving exchanges, the Supreme and the subjects of the Supreme, like the devotees, and this ongoing path where the devotees give with so much of love and the Lord reciprocates in a different way, is a pleasure giving phenomena which lies with the devotees, which no one can ever have it. So that's the reason why we have to recognize Lord is Satchitanand. You have the eternal Sat and the knowledge, transcendental knowledge, in the Chit potency. But the Brahmins, they can never recognize the blissful. Sometimes when they merge into Brahmajyoti, they may have the Brahmananda, which is the Ananda, but that is very, very temporary. So you're not experience entire phenomena, Satchit Anand. You have to experience that as a devotee whenever you went to the Rath Yatra in Oxford Road, where you had 30,000 people who had come to see Lord Jagannath on that day, and so many dignitaries came. And then you had Janmashtami, where several thousands came on the appearance day of Purna Purushottam Krishna. Then the sheer bliss of celebrating the Supreme Personality of Godhead's birthday was tremendous in the hearts of the devotees, which is uncomparable. So that's the reason why a bhakta can truly experience ananda. Other things are very focused, very meditative, but the bliss is. So if you really want to experience three aspects of the Lord Satchitanand, Krishna is very clearly mentioning that with Brahman realization, there are impediments. And what is the Brahman realization? Jnani's realization. And that Jnani's realization is often so intoxicating that they often go in the wrong direction all their life. Some Jnanis who are Brahman realized, they come and become bhaktas, like the four Kumaras. When the scuffle broke between the four Kumaras and Jaya Vijay on the doorstep of Vaikuntha, then the aroma of the tulsi from the lotus feet of Vishnu enter into the nostril of the four Kumaras, and that's when they transform themselves from the Brahman platform oriented to the devotee oriented, and then they recognize that what the power of can be. So there are certain devotees like Prakashananda Saraswati. He was a Brahmavadi, and when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Banaras, the entire group of Prakashananda Saraswati clan of devotees, they converted to Gaudiya Vaishnava. It is the massive conversion in that sense, and that was fulfilled because they understood that whatever you do will always be the best way to experience this Lord is serving through the expression of love. The love, see, whenever you are in your home and you're trying to eat some Horlicks, and sometimes the Horlicks falls, and immediately you may get angry because you're getting ready to go to office. But the same thing when it happens in office, you have that awe and reverence. So you have to withhold your ability, your free form attitude to respond. So you do not become natural with other paths of reason, which you can express only by the Bhakti Yoga principle, where you end up doing something. You try to offer some fruits or flowers. You want to make dress for the Supreme. You want to get something. So it's an exchange which is unparalleled in any other realization. So we discussed the Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, Dhyana Yogi, and Bhakti Yogi. Bhakti Yogi is actually the topmost principle. And here, Lord beautifully explaining, that for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, the Nirakarvadis, impersonal Nirakarvadis, feature of the Supreme advancement is very troublesome. Lord is not saying advancement is impossible. That's the reason why we say that their view of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is incorrect. But we can say that it is incomplete because that is troublesome. That is exactly like you end up saying, my health is great, but my cholesterol is giving me problem. When you say but, the entire negativity of that entire concept, the entire sentence comes into forefront. And that is exactly where Lord is explaining very clearly. He doesn't want to be very explicit to the Brahmavadis, but he's saying advancement is very troublesome. The advancement, as you may have seen in Krishna consciousness, there are young devotees They are basically from IIT or any things you might have seen in YouTube. Some of these young devotees. Their advancement is so fast in Krishna consciousness, you just can't imagine. Is the purity with which age doesn't matter. There are amazing devotees who are 27, 28, 35 years old, and you might have seen them coming to our temple, young devotees, but their advancement is skyrocketing. So, very potent process, the chanting of the holy name, hearing the glories of the Lord through the scriptures of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. And if the path is such fascinating, then and will definitely be successful. So I can go on and on, but like to end here because we want to hear some discussion which stems from this beautiful verse which Lord is giving his opinion about the Nirakarvadis and why their path to achieving the Supreme is full of challenges. So with that, I'd like to end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna. Any question, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the class. The examples helped understand the meaning. It made the process a lot easier. So thank you for that.
Yeah. So I just want to add, Prabhu, thank you for your comment. What happens is there is a lot of paths, as you know, if you want to go from, Edison to Piscataway, there are probably 20 ways to get there. But there is a very optimal way to get there, which is exactly, some of these mapping algorithms they take, and they give you the best outcome. And our best outcome, our Google map in our life, is what Srimad Bhagavatam and the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Song of God, Bhagavad Gita, has explained. So based on that, if we choose our path, because Lord has seen it all. When Lord was explaining Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and he also mentioned that, hey, Arjuna, what I'm telling you, I have told this millions of years ago to Manu and Iksha and the sun god. So what is correct now in terms of getting the higher principles of Bhagavad Gita is correct since 100 years ago, 5,000 years ago, and millions of years ago. So as Lord is very clearly explaining, we will get a lot of challenges. In the morning, there are different, some pradayas who may end up saying you meditate. Meditating is not very easy. Like if you get a bouncer in cricket, it's trying to control because the mind will go everywhere. The mind will go here, the mind will go there. But how to dovetail this mind to the right process is the key to our path to Krishna consciousness. So it's very difficult to control the mind. Even the people who are Mahavadis or the people who are trying to meditate, it's very, very difficult to control the mind. But we say we do not have to control the mind. You mind, if you're good in making garlands, dovetail that to making garlands. If you're good in Shringar, do it. If you're good in making prasadam, make it. So your karma, your activity, your jnana, your knowledge in making it a sabji or whatever the case may be, or your meditational technique in how to make that better gets that. That's the reason why bhakti is the most practical solution in this entire world. And this is where Krishna's words has to be understood exactly like Srila Prabhupada. For Srila Prabhupada, karma is bhakti, jnana is bhakti, and yoga is bhakti. So, so this verse is a very powerful verse from the context of choosing our path. And There are a lot of misguided uh, approaches, but if we understand this word, our path will be very sublime. Thank you, Prabhu.
Just a question, Prabhuji. This is, I know when we read Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, and when we hear from our spiritual gurus like you or any other our gurus, so we know about Krishna, what he has done, and this is very blissful. But in a practical life perspective, so how exactly, that can guide us in the right direction? Because obviously, if I will be in a problem and I need to know whether I am right or wrong to take a decision, obviously it would not be a wiki kind of thing that I will search and I will get an answer, right? So how it helps our spiritual life can guide us really in the right path, so that whatever we take, we would not be deviating from Krishna.
Right.
So there are some moments come when people really go in a wrong way kind of thing. So how that prevents anything possible, anything
Right.
can.
Right. Yeah, thank you for this question. So, Prabhu, as you rightly mentioned, no problem is repetitive. Every problem is unique. So that's the reason why when you come across a problem, trying to Google it is not going to help, because that problem has never occurred, because every problem is unique. But in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has expressed some guiding principles. Like we have some guiding principles which are laid down in Bhagavad Gita in terms of how to control the mind. How, like just in 11.55 when we discussed, there's a lot of misconception about Krishna is getting into the battlefield and he is telling Arjuna to fight. So from a problem seeker's perspective, it may appear that Krishna is promoting violence, right? But in 11.55, Krishna says, do not have enmity towards anyone, because sin is more important to get rid of rather than sinner. So that guiding principle, that it's the process which we have to fix to get it right, not the person. So I'm just giving an example. So in that sense, anytime we have a problem or a challenge or any issue, we will find some relevant verses in Bhagavad Gita. Actually, you might have seen that it came in WhatsApp University. There are some verses which are very profound for controlling anger. There are some verses which are very profound in addressing frustration. So somebody has made a cross-reference of how Bhagavad Gita has helped them. When I will try to share that, I don't know how bona fide that is, but the guiding principles, when it is there, we can take some guiding principle from Bhagavad Gita and apply ours in our problems and try to solve it, because no problem is. And once like I have attended some meetings where we have seen some sannyasis who are part of it, and every time something will come up, the sannyasi will, with so much of strong commitment to the scriptures, he will quote something from the scriptures which is very relevant. So how to align those real life problems with scriptural uh, use cases and try to find solution in that is the key. Does that help you?
Yes, Prabhuji. Very much, Prabhuji. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
So as you have you already know, us were very close to Lord Krishna, but they were not devoid of problems. They were not devoid of challenges.
Exactly.
They're full of. So, but at the end of the day, it made them determined, strong. So, we are not shying away from the problem. Bhagavad Gita is giving us tools and utilities to make us strong in finding the problem. Just because we are in Bhakti Yoga doesn't mean we are not up for bad news. Bad news is very much there. But how we cope with the bad news is different for a Bhakta than somebody who is not a Bhakta. And that is a yardstick when uh, devotees deal with their challenges. They are an example, they're a revelation, and a lot of inspirations. Srila Prabhupada, Gaur Govind Maharaj, Bhaktirtha Swami. There are a lot of wonderful personalities who have exemplified how to deal with their lives. Okay, Prabhuji?
Very nice explanation, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any
I
other
wish
comments?
classes.
Thank you, Prabhu. Any other thoughts? Yeah, whatever we do, our problems will be less than Pandavas. So I think we should be all.
Exactly. Yes. I now I remember there was one class. Uh, I think Gauranga Prabhu. I was hearing a long time back. He was saying the in Mathura Vrindavan, Krishna, when he used to play with his friends, so they used to face problems like those monsters. They used to come. One during breakfast, one during lunch, and one during dinner, kind of thing. So
Yeah, they were not devoid of problems,
exactly.
but
Yes.
uh, but think about this. When this Indra was sending those Sambartaka clouds to flood Vrindavan, and Lord Krishna, using his pinky, lifted the Govardhan hill, uh, and all the Rajvas were under the mountain. Nobody felt that this small boy lifting this mountain in his pinky, he will shake it up and we'll all get crushed under the mountain. Nobody thought about whenever we
Exactly.
buy an iPhone, whenever a kid is small, it doesn't have a case. We don't give it to them. He may
Yes.
break it and this $800,
True.
$900. So the kind of surrender, the kind of faith they had, that's why Gaurang Prabhu last time mentioned, Brajvasis were a bunch of ordinary people with extraordinary consciousness.
Yes.
And more and more we hear, more and more we learn, we get tremendous faith and strength from the scriptures. Any other thoughts, Prabhu?
It was great class, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Any other? Ashish Prabhu, Niranjan Prabhu, Mataji, Anvita Mataji, Govil Mataji, Tripadi Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class. I was distracted by my daughter here and there, but yes, I was able to make the best use of this opportunity. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Mataji, we were hearing your daughter's rhymes in the background once in a while, but it was absolutely no problem.
Pardon me.
No. So, Govil Mataji, you want to say something?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have one question since long. that why we have a fast on Janmashtami or Ram Janmashtami or any God Janmashtami. When our Janmashtami, we are eating good things and everything. So on God's birthday, why we are not eating good things and everything?
Yeah, so the good thing, Mataji, we can eat after a certain time. So this fasting, right? The fasting has to do with austerity. Austerity, like say for example, anytime you, so for the first thing is, after you break the fast on Janmashtami or Ramastami, you can, there is a lot to eat, right? There is so much of items. So it's not we do not eat, but the thing is, when we are not eating, we are feeling hungry, we are meditating deeply about the Supreme. Our meditation um, mantra or our meditational techniques becomes more solidified, more intensified. And we do that till the appearance day. And Janmashtami, it happens to be the midnight. So our desire to think more during the austere time is more deep. So it is recommended. It's not Krishna who is saying fast on my birthday. It is our acharyas have mentioned that in order to deeply about something, when you are austere, when the exams are coming, if you're taking the midnight oil and studying more and more during those last 2 or 3 days, then the output is high because the intensity is there. So our acharyas have mentioned, Mataji, that meditationally, if we become austere and we give up the food, and then fasting, we are going to feast. So there is no, but to increase our meditational process, it is recommended to fast. Okay, Nalaji?
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you. So it is that we have to do good meditation. We have to do fast.
Yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be every day, but there are certain days like
certain days.
like
Once-
Ekadasi, we have to eat from certain grains and without grains and beans. So there are some. So these things, it was intended by our acharyas, given to us by acharyas. But nowadays, Mataji's, the scientists from Japan, some Nobel Prize winners, they have come to the point that when we fast, it detoxifies our body and it helps us. So the science and the non-science, they are aligning. Okay.
Yeah. This I know. That is fine. Only I want to know the why on the God birthday we are not
Yes,
enjoying
yeah.
only this thing.
To
Okay.
intensify our meditation.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Any other comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so actually, nice class, Prabhuji, as always. And I was actually, I would like to actually tell 2 points as per my, whatever I learned from other, speakers. So actually, I was listening one of the lecture from Nitai Savini Mataji. So she was saying that, she was recommending that to read the number 12, chapter like every Ekadasi, okay. Because she felt like this is one of the most important chapter, because tells about the Bhakti Yoga, okay. And Bhakti Yoga is very rare, okay. Like, we are so fortunate that, we are in process of Bhakti Yoga. And coming to the point chapter number 7, right, where there are 4 type of people generally, approach Krishna, right? One who is more distressed, one is more, need of material things, right? So Krishna basically doesn't want to bind, okay. So if you want to ask for any money or material things, right? So basically he gives immediately, okay, right? He doesn't want to bind. So basically devotional service is one thing where Krishna binds himself, okay. So that is very rare actually. We are so fortunate that we are in process. And if you see like right, Yasoda, my, and also the Sabri, right? So those things. So how like Ram or Krishna, right? How they bind, right? So without actual devotional service, Krishna. So if someone wants money or something like that, immediately Krishna gives that, okay? Because generally he doesn't want to stay with that person, right? If you want to retain Krishna with you, then yeah, devotional service is only thing, right? If you do, then only he can return with you. Otherwise, like other things are, he can give immediately, okay? That's it.
Nice. Go on.
Yeah, Prabhuji. So this is what actually I learned from, like from Nitai Sevani Maharaj. I was reading like lot of other Vaishnavas, lectures where they recommend, to study this chapter number 12 is most important chapter. Yeah.
So first thing about Lord is a person, right? Lord likes to be with his family and his entourage. You'll see all these big events, Anandotsav, Rath Yatra, Bahura Yatra. It's all about Lord and his devotees. So Lord loves devotees. So if you want money for him, for Lord, it's not a big deal. You give money and he will let you leave. But the devotees are very dear to the Lord. That Raghudas, we saw that Lord Jagannath was taking care of him when he was bedridden. And Raghudas knows and Lord Jagannath knows. Because the experience to interact, the personal experience, because love is about expressing. If there is no expression, there is no love. So by Lord engaging us, he loves us. And that, which is exactly what you said. Giving money to somebody and getting rid of him from him is very easy. But when Lord has a loving relationship with the devotee, it is the topmost, because that is never ending. That's one thing. The second thing, 12th chapter is devotional service we're going to read. The 4th chapter is transcendental knowledge. Quite a lot of questions as to who should approach Krishna, how you should approach Krishna. What does transcendental knowledge does? It's all clarified. The who, why, when, what of Krishna consciousness is all clarified. So this 4 and 12 are the practical, I would like to call it, it's a refresher. It's more of a recharging chapters. In order to, in order to stay in Krishna consciousness, you have to do work. Otherwise, Maya is very powerful and it's going to take you away. So in order to really refocus, reinvigorate, recharge, these 2 chapters are, and that could be the reason why Mataji has recommended. But definitely, as you saw in the 5th verse of 12th chapter, what a powerful way that Krishna is discerning, all of us, making us go away the impersonal. And the 4th chapter is the transcendental knowledge, which most of the people day-to-day life, they spend their time toying with this question and answer, which gets cleared in chapter 4.
Yes, Prabhuji. And also if you see in Gita 7.28, right, Krishna tells that, if someone has done pious activities in his last life, right, if all these sins, there is no sins, then only one person can, with determination, he can do this devotional service to Lord Krishna, okay? So it means like, if we did something pious on our past life, right, if our sins are completely eradicated, right, so that is something, right, Prabhuji, like otherwise very difficult to, do this devotional service to Lord Krishna.
Yes. Krishna choose to reveal himself. Krishna can choose to reveal himself to whoever he wants. So Krishna has, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has picked all of us for a reason. And the reasons we can only rationalize with Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. But as you rightly said, coming to Krishna consciousness, there are a lot of people who are in plain field, but those people who come to plain field, they come with a specific purpose, and there is a reason. Not everyone comes to plain field temple, but people who come with a view to gain something. So that's what sometimes we all prarabdha karma, and which you have mentioned in the pious credits you have. So there is a reason things happen, and we're trying to rationalize the reason through the Guru and Sadhu and Shastra. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu. And any other comments from anyone? So next Saturday, just a small announcement. Next Saturday is Ashtami, the appearance day of Srimati Radharani. Radharani is very dear to Krishna. She's actually number one devotee of Krishna. So whenever we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, we are asking Srimati Radharani to engage us in serving the Supreme. We are requesting us, hey Radharani, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare means Radharani, please engage us in serving the Supreme. So Srimati Radharani, this position is not well understood by many people. Okay, so with material, mechanical mindset of this husband, wife, this, that, we can't understand Srimati Radharani's love. So we should only discuss about Srimati Radharani from a bona fide source. And there will be speakers who will speak. Otherwise, trying to make some relationship out of nowhere is not going to work, because that's not. So, like Dr. Krishna says, Bhakto Sime Sakha Cheti. That means only a devotee can understand the Supreme. The Jnanis cannot understand. The yogis cannot understand. Bhakto Sime Sakha Cheti. That means only a devotee. Likewise, Srimati Radharani's position can only be understood by a devotee. And Prabhupada has recommended that we speak Srimati Radharani and we hear from bona fide sources. So next Saturday is Radhashtami. There will be big programs lined up in our temple. So we may not have our Saturday evening, because that happens to be the actual day of Srimati Radharani's appearance day, Radhashtami. So we will not have the Bhakti Vriksha. We'll get together the next Saturday. So that's the, and I'll share the, you invite everybody and understand the position of Srimati Radharani in Lord Krishna's life. And with the mechanical, material mindset, you can never understand Srimati Radharani's position, which is the devotee. Anybody who is a topmost devotee is respected by us. In Krishna consciousness, it's all about dasa, das. Anybody who is a servant of the servant of the servant is treated by us as the topmost of the topmost of the topmost. So it's not the higher position which defines a person's pedestal. It is how humble a person can be that defines a person's pedestal. So it is, Krishna consciousness is very simple for simple persons, and people will take ages but still not understand Krishna consciousness. So Radhashtami is next Saturday, and I'll update you. If you have any question, comments, other than this, we can all interact. So I just want to wish everybody a wonderful Krishna conscious day. However you are, the challenges are not going to go away. Pandavas, the challenges were plenty. In however capacity our challenges are, whether we lose someone or, but we should all pray to the Supreme, and the prayers do wonders. So let's pray to all of you at your lotus feet by saying, वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा
कृपासिन्धुभ्येव
सिन्धुभ्येव
च
पतितानां
पतितानां
पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो
नमो वैष्णव वृंद की जय
जय
भगवद गीता की जय प्रभुपाद की गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि
हरि
बोल।
हरि बोल।